Welcome to this very exciting live stream where usually I unbox printers here. Usually I build printers and take them out of the box and get them working. Today I'm actually going to do the exact opposite of that because I have too many, and too many of them I just don't use. Lockdown haircut. It's yeah. It's time to get that fur off. But today, why am I on the wrong window here? The new YouTube studio is kind of weird. Today, at least one of these machines will be in parts after this, I'm hoping. So we have a bit of a selection. So I'm just gonna pile these up while everyone joins the stream and all that. So this one is gonna have to hide behind one of these guys. So yeah, white level seems off. Okay, I'm not gonna worry about that. I mean, the cameras are different in the looks anyways. I know, it's image for life stuff is weird. But hello from the USA, hello from Ottawa, hello from France, hello from North Germany. Hi, Namibia. Hey, hi out to the world. It is right now 7:30 p.m. Perfect time to get streaming. All right, so I guess let me go through why I'm taking one of these machines apart. So this is the Anet A8. The E10 is kind of Anet's attempt at making something that looks like an Ender 3, but it's just not very good. It's not very good I mean, it's like an Anet A8 just with a metal frame. Next up, Duplicator 7. This one was my first resin printer. This one was the first company that sent me a resin printer. Was it Wanhao? Was it Gearbest? I don't know. But this is the first resin printer that I ended up with. And as you can see, there's obviously the screen in here that exposes your parts. How big is that? Looks a bit bigger than the other printers, but the way you use this thing is actually through HDMI. You have to. Can I get this? Can I get this zoomed in? Yeah, you actually have to plug in. You have to physically plug in this entire thing as a secondary screen. So if you leave your mouse cursor on this secondary screen, you actually print the mouse cursor. So it's not very convenient or practical to use. And the thing is, if you look at this, like, you can see that, right? You can see how much that's rocking around in a SLA printer that needs precision. So this is, also not very good. Never had much success printing with it. Then the Anet A8, I don't have to do much explanation on this. If I can avoid it, I would rather not print on that machine. It does have the E3D Himera on it. This is the machine that it says Hermes. No, it's the Himera now. Has the Himera on it. I did the conversion guide for this one with this machine. And then lastly, one that's not quite so popular, but well, at this point also worthy of getting taken apart. This is the Atom 3D 2.5EX. It started out as an Atom 2. There's a review video of this machine originally on this channel. And it's a printer that I don't... It's nice, but it's like, from an engineering perspective, they did a lot of things that... They tried a lot of things, but not a lot of them have turned out also well. So it uses like very high quality linear rails. It has a custom titanium hot end, so an all metal titanium hot end, which isn't great because you can't really get replacement parts for it, and it does like to jam. It also uses a very smart leveling mechanism where the entire thing tilts up, the entire hot end tilts up and releases a switch up here, which I think is great. But flaws with it. This is now a dual extrusion system, which I'm hoping I can maybe show you from the top. There you go. Maybe there's two extruders on there, and it's a multiplexing system, just like the Prussian multi-material works. The multi-material 1 works in a similar fashion. That jams a lot. Also, these magnetic sockets, these pop out if the hot end jams into your print, so not very great. The one thing I do like about it is the limited edition glass bed that they sent me. I feel like it's almost a bit of a shame to take it apart, because this is, I don't know if this is limited edition, but it's certainly unique. Maybe this can live on another machine. So yeah, one of these will have to go, and it is, as usual, it is up to you to decide. So I'm just gonna post a where we at? There we at. I'm gonna post a quick straw poll link that you guys can go vote on, because why should I decide? And there's the straw poll link. Is that clickable? Yes, it is. There's the straw poll link, because we love democracy. I asked on Twitter earlier today which video I should do, or which live stream I should do. Unboxing the Elegoo Mars Pro, or doing the teardown video, and the Elegoo Mars Pro won by, I think, 0.4%. So because of the way I have set up my Twitter voting districts and all that, this video won, so I'm doing this one. All right, so here's something to consider while casting your votes. This is the only SLA printer. I personally want to know what the underside of this thing looks like, how the LEDs and all that have progressed since this one came out. On the other hand, I do want the Anet A8 gone. Like, this thing, I don't want to have this machine, just to be honest. So, I mean, yeah. Let me check what the Polish German. But you can. I mean, it says. Why is straw poll? Well, I guess strawpoll.com should work just as well. Let me actually see what this looks like. Oh, this is very even, but okay, A8 is pretty far ahead. Seems like nobody wants to see the same machine gone that I want to see gone, but that's all right. That's all right. I guess let's do the A8 then. That is settled. Okay. Did that screen cap work? I hope so. I don't know. Cool. A8, let's get rid of it. Let me see how quickly I can get this done. Maybe we can do a second one. By the way, this printer is an absolute beast of a machine. There's so much aluminum in this. I swear this thing weighs like 15 kilograms, 20 kilograms, or something like that. Way too much. So, since these are practically the same machine, I mean, yeah, but, well, kind of. So, did I live build this thing? I don't remember. One question for you. Okay, yeah, good question from Talal. Does this Anet A8 work? Yes, it does. So this is actually one of the very few prints that I used it for, because honestly, I'm just not comfortable using this machine, and I always have better alternatives available. But with the Himera upgrade, I think it actually prints decently well. Like, this is pretty okay. There are a few like signs of mechanical issues, but I'm gonna say this is pretty good. But okay, on-air sign is off. Oh crap! Why are you off? Oh, because you're unplugged. Yeah, so this A8 would print reasonably well. There we go. But like, this is like the worst possible choice of printer I could pick. Apt purge old printers, yeah. Right. There was a $2 super chat from SB to the A8. Thank you for that. Your wish shall be granted. So, one of my favorite tools for doing anything around printers is this Bosch, not sponsored, this Bosch driver. This is not an impact driver. So a lot of people are commenting, hey, why are you using an impact driver? This is just a regular driver. It's basically a drill driver without the drill chuck. Brushless, 10.8 volts, sits in my hand beautifully. But this thing is $100. This is my personal private one. And I do want to get something like this for the studio here to do teardowns and setups. So if you guys have any recommendations for something similar that isn't that, like, I really like the size. Let me just be clear. The fact that there's no battery down here, or that the battery just sits in the handle like that, is fantastic. Yeah, for $100, like, it's a tough sell. I'm gonna have to get some sort of container to drop all these little parts in. Let me see what I can find. I've looked at the Ryobi, which is I think $60 with 2 batteries, which is crazy good. But it has the big drill chuck on it. So I would really like something that doesn't have the drill chuck, just because that makes it so much more compact. Print yourself one. I guess that's an option. So what I'm gonna do is, oh yeah, this was, I just emptied that box out. Fasteners I'm gonna drop in here. I'm gonna sort those later. Parts that I'm not gonna be able to reuse, I'm gonna drop over here, and reusable bits, I guess I can do somewhere around here. Yeah, Lidl, I know, which is Parkside, I think. Also have some. I also need the torque limiter clutch, because that's just awesome for having like little tiny screws that I don't want to strip, and also the 2 gear. That's something that I really like. So, and also size is really important for this. I don't care about power, because I mean anything that has a motor is going to be more than powerful enough, as long as it spins reasonably fast. Like something like the Bosch IXO, which is just a, you know, 1 cell, nothing in it, really not much in it. I had one of those once, but it's just way too slow. DeWalt 8-volt Deco tools. Never heard of those. Viha Speed E. Is that a? Hold on, that's like an electric screwdriver, isn't it? Like not this pistol grip style, but just a regular handle. That could be an option. How do I actually? I just took out the first screws that I saw, but Ryobi. Yeah. Also, I mean, if you're suggesting, I'm gonna say the premium brands. I've tried the Makitas. They don't fit my hands that well. If you're gonna suggest premium brands, like again, this thing is $100. If it's more than that, I may as well $100 plus batteries and chargers. If it's more than that, I may as well just use or grab another one of these, because I know it works. What is the stream about? Yeah, disassembling printers. Everyone voted for the A8, so that's the one we're doing. I don't know, just building a machine in reverse. And the Deco is cheap for what it does. I will. Oh, the Xiaomi Mijia. That might be an option. So we're basically just going through the reverse of building one. So LCD 2004. This is how big is this thing? This is exactly the same size as on the Prushas. Okay, so this is the standard size graphical LCD screen. These can be used, I mean, so this has the buttons on it, but you can actually hook these up. Almost looks like it fits into, no, okay, that's the LCD module. You can hook these up to an Arduino and use them for like regular graphics or text output, and you have the buttons. You can use those as inputs. So these are useful outside of 3D printers as well. Mijia is slow. Stream quality is insane. I'm not even at my full potential. This is just 1080p stream. Like, so nylon spacers, also something that is incredibly useful to have, but it's like you never have them. When you need them, you never have them. So I usually just print them. But behind me, you can see I've got some assortment boxes and stuff. These are going to fill up with printer and printer specific parts. one battery system. I mean, so again, this is going to be for here in the studio. I don't have any power tools in the studio yet, but yeah, at home for my own personal tools, I've got the 12 volt or 10.8 volt Bosch, and I've got 18 volt Makita, which I also love, but they're like big, bulky tools that are just not great for disassembling printers. I think we're going to be able to just lift off this entire x-axis. Oh no, these need to come off first. So really useful just having, this has just been part of a toolkit that I bought for the studio. So these smaller hex drivers, these are so incredibly useful, especially the 1.5. I mean, they strip really easily if you aren't careful, but just having the 2.5 for regular M3 screws, so useful. And these are actually 2s, okay. Hello from Sweden, hello back to Sweden. Ever tried the Box XO? Yes, I've tried those, but they don't. So this thing spins crazy fast. So I don't know if that comes across in 60 frames, but that is actual proper unscrewing and screwing power. The XOs are just way too slow. I think this is like 1200 RPM. No, 1300. Okay. So yeah, this thing blazes through even longer screws. The Phillips K has just tuned in. Is that the Anet A8? Yes, it is. And I am removing it from my stash. Also, you can get these bits in longer versions, because right down here, I can't actually get to this one grub screw. So I've got like 50mm versions at home. Not very useful when you don't have them with you, but those are, oh, these are, okay, these have 2 set screws. Okay, not that it's necessary, but yeah, longer bits, way useful as well. All right, so I'm gonna have a look at the deco tools. And Milwaukee, DeWalt, all those. I think Milwaukee is a very US-centric brand, right? Not sure if they're available here. But I will have a look. Use the stuff from your bit set to extend your bits? What? Yeah, but this is... See, the great thing about this Bosch driver too is that the chuck here is so thin. So it's about the same size as your bit holder. So if you can't get in with this thing, this isn't going to do much for you. You coming off yet? Yes? Yes? Okay, so the tool head is still plugged in. I wanted to unclip that. Please don't fall. No, unclip that. Cut it off, basically. There we go. One straight relief zip tie. And now, these are 4-star lead screws. Okay. Let me grab that one. So lead screws and chrome-plated rods. Those have got to be like the most basic standard components that you can get. Sorry if that is loud. It's raining 4-stars. Yes, it is. Are you coming? Why are you so tight? Okay. DeWalt is part of Bosch. I guess they're all like part of one another. So, okay, chrome-plated rod. Let me grab a paper towel just to ungrease these. The ZX's ones shouldn't have all that much wear on them. So if we get in here, These look pretty good. So there's nowhere visible on them at all. Maybe back here I can see a bit of a ding, but these are good. These are basically good as new. If you get good bearings, these should. Actually, let me grab the calipers and see how accurately we can measure these. Do I have to zero you? Why do I have to zero you? You're supposed to be... No. You're at 0. Okay. You are 7.97. Wow. 8.0, wow, okay. Wow, that is something that I did not expect. Okay, let me do that again. 7.97, I'm hoping you guys can see that. Then we rotate, 797. 797, okay, it was me probably, yeah, tilting this off. So this is 7.97 all the way around. And this one probably is as well. It's probably cut up from the same stock. 794. No, looks like this one is slightly smaller. So these are undersized slightly, looks like. If I can get this thing square. That is interesting. The fact that, I mean, it changes how your linear bearings are tensioned, because the shell of an LM8UU, when you insert a rod into an LM8UU bearing, do I have one around here? I don't know, but they have that steel shell. It acts as a spring and kind of pushes the steel balls, the bearing balls, against this rod. So if this rod is undersized, you're going to have less pretension on that. That is interesting. I should check some other rods, but according to these Mitutoyo calipers, this is slightly undersized, which means if your bearings are made to spec, you're going to have a bit extra wobble, a bit extra slop in your linear drive system. Interesting. Common rods are supposed to be undersized, but it's supposed, I mean, if you're using rods for linear bearing applications, I don't think they're supposed to be undersized by, well, I don't know how precisely I'm measuring, but by that much. Oh, and I'm already mixing up my bits here. I'm probably totally getting lost here on the super chats. Thank you for the $5, Cornelos. Add-on $5. The lab box on GrabCAD is up. Can mill steel using electrochemical machining. Ooh, NS3 tool is coming soon. That sounds interesting. I've been doing some stuff with galvanizing, and otherwise applying voltage to metal parts and changing their appearance. That's going to come up in a month or two. It's going to be a while until that sees some results. That's a lot of fun. Oh yeah, and subs. We did actually have Paul Nokel. Paul Nokel is joining as a YouTube member, so thank you very much. Why are you... That's interesting. This is sticking to the... These nuts. These nuts, yeah. So these were holding in the lead screw nut. These are like solidly stuck to the plastic part. I don't know if these are... Oh, those were loose, weren't they? Wow. So either... So that's actually an impression of the nut itself. We got somewhere zoom, boys. So there, we don't have autofocus, which is always fantastic. You can maybe see that little ring on the other side, on the underside of that nut, and that has totally impressioned into this plastic part. I assume this is ABS maybe, but like you can hear these are completely stuck to it. So these have deformed. Whenever you're tightening against a plastic part, whether it's 3D printed or injection molded, you will see your screw head kind of dig into the material. So the material is actually going to flow away from under your screw head. It's going to creep out of there. And you will need to periodically tighten those screws. So for plastic, basically you need to increase your surface area. That's done through inserts, through bigger washers, through anything you can muster to have as much contact area and as little pressure on that material. That is really going to slow down that material creep. So tightening up just a nut or a screw head to nominal torque, I mean, I don't think you can do that. But just tightening up a screw against a plastic part, that is going to creep and is going to loosen over time. Jack said Bosch GSB 1200 Lee Professional 12 volt. I think that's... Yeah, see, okay, the GSB is the one with the drill chuck. I want the one without. I want the compact one. I do have the regular brushed ones with the drill chuck as well, but it just makes everything longer. You have to add the chuck, then you have to add the bit holder, and before you know it, get out of here. Before you know it, so the chuck is about that long. So before you know it, your bit is actually out here instead of down here. And that, having that bit so close to the tip of your finger, just makes it really controllable. Power tools with Tom. I mean, technically 3D printers are power tools as well, right? Just a bit more involved. YouTube comment filter. Why are you so aggressive? Come on. Okay, so we've already harvested a bunch of, what are these, 20s? M3x20s? I don't know the ISO number of them, I'm sorry. I know they're DIN 912, but no idea what the ISO is for that. Are these chromed rods? Yeah, so there are. This is something I noticed, yeah. So if we can maybe switch back here. So this side over here, this is the idler side of the x-axis. This has little brass inserts, yeah, so little threaded inserts. These are the same ones that you use for, pressing into 3D printed parts. And a grub screw to secure the rod, the 8mm linear rod in them. And yeah, there we go. These can come out. The other side, this should be loose. The other side over here has those same holes. It looks like that's the point where those will be pressed in, but it doesn't have anything in them. So that is interesting. This should just pull out. Oh, there we go. That is interesting. Let me check how it is on these guys, because I know Prusa also changed that around. So these are just, look like they're just butted into the printed parts. I'm not sure if that's a sliding fit, because what's going to happen with these ends is no matter, well, the thing is, so if you have these ends sliding on your rods, what's going to happen is the belt actually pulls these two ends together. And the only thing pressing against that is the now missing Z-axis rails. So by having these end parts slide and kind of compress against each other, you would actually bend those rods. And so at the bottom, you would feel that it's tight because that's supported at the bottom typically. And at the top, it would also be tight. But in the middle, it would be basically freely moving. So yeah, depending on how your print is set up, and depending on how it's I was loud. Depending on how it's counteracting that belt tension, that may or may not be a problem. It's acrylic with the paper still on. Yes, I was too lazy to peel the paper. I really didn't feel like peeling it. Prusa has a press fit. Yes, this is also a press fit, but a press fit is still going to slide over time. Like I just mentioned, if you have a force just continuously pressing on a plastic part, it is going to creep over time. So a press fit in plastic really doesn't mean much. So when it's a press fit, I guess it could just as well be a sliding fit or an oversized fit, whatever that is. More steampunk look with paper on. Yeah, I guess you could have, it almost looks like wood, right? But I guess you could have some actual laser engraving in the acrylics paper. So these are just all regular LM8Us. One solution to this is to have screws on the X ends. Yes, I think that is exactly what Prusa used to have, and they switched away from that. Theoretically, these should slide out. Come on. Basically, there's this spring lever in here. Ow! That's a dent in my hand. Why are you not coming out? What can I use to press this out? These maybe? I was just gonna smash the seal. Huh. I want to get these out. But I don't have, I do have a vise here, so that could be a start. Oh, there we go. I also have a hammer. I mean, I'm not sure how much I'm actually keen on having these bearings, but may as well. These are coming out nicely. Oh no, it is a. That's not what I expected. So this is an actual L8UU bearing. The interesting thing is, if you look on the inside of this thing, you're probably not going to be able to make that out. Maybe? It's actually 2 rows of bearing balls. So there's one. That is so hard to show. Maybe if you go the other way and just go like that. Focus maybe? Yes, no, yes. There you go, that's what I wanted to show. If you look just down the barrel of that, it looks like it's 2 individual LM8Us, but it is one long LM8LUU. So, yeah. Surprised by the wear down? What wear specifically? So I'm not really seeing anything. LM8LUU? LM8, LML, yeah, whatever, the long ones. I think the X end rods are really tight fit lengthwise, and when you push the plastic parts, you pull them to the bottom. Lock down and can move. Okay. So this one we're also going to take out. The belts on these cheap printers, I really I don't need. I mean, I have no need for more cheap belts. I've got like a 5-meter spool of this stuff, and it's not great. Let's do that exactly in the same way, because that kind of worked out. Something dropped over there. Where on this bearing? I mean, again, I'm not really seeing anything. Okay, one more. I've never used. Oh, was that off frame? I'm sorry. I am sorry. Too many cameras going on. So I've actually never used LM8 LUU bearings, these long guys. I always just went with 2 of the shorter ones and just, you know, oh God, you're heavy. And just string them up in series. And that always kind of worked. And now seeing these L8UUs basically just being, you know, 2 individual plastic bearing guides in a single case. I don't know if I actually want to use the long ones. But honestly, if I was gonna use linear bearings, I would just go with MGN12s or MGN9s. They're the real linear rails. Those are easier to use, more rigid, and actually aren't that expensive. Like LM8Us are still the king if you want something that is really cheap. But it's just a whole nother world. I mean, you're allowed so much more design freedom with the real MGN rails. You can resell that frame. Yeah, I can send it back to the manufacturer and just go like, hey, I can return this. We missed a $5 super chat. You should make the Anet A8 light itself on fire for a future video. That's what Jonathan said. Maybe I can have just the frame. I guess if we leave the frame intact, if you take all the this front plate doesn't matter, but when the electronics burn, like something around here gets too hot and catches fire, like this rat's nest here. I can see how easily this catches on fire, but then again, I've still got the paper on it, so that would make it a bit unfair. So this tool head, this is E3D's not quite Himera. You know, the early ones still said Hermes on there. So this is a completely custom head. It's still, I'm kind of proud of this. Because it uses the original bearings, it uses the original belt, it uses original fan troughs. So with this tool head, you can use anything that fits on an A8 and use it with the Himera upgrade installed on it. So this took quite a bit of fiddling to do, but it fits on an A8 and it works. Even the nozzle height is the same. So this thing should work with almost no Z height calibration. So I gotta say, I am kind of proud of this, and I've got some strain and relief on the wires. Like it's actually an upgrade in that regard. So strain and bend radius limiter right there. This is nice. I do need the Hermes though, so this will need to come off. Yeah, I tapped the plate up here. Actually, yeah, let me show you. Hold on. Let me show you how this thing is spelled. I want to say thank you for joining in as a YouTube member, but I can't read that name. But thank you. Himera is the best part of the Sprinter? Yes, definitely. So the interesting thing about the Himera is that it has the mounting holes on the, I just pulled out that square nut, but there's a square nut in there usually. This back here is a stepper motor that drives the entire gearing and extruder part. You can see right through that. And they've got custom front and end brackets. Yeah, I guess you guys know this thing by now. But it's got custom front and end brackets, and what you can do is you can use one side of this motor to mount it to the frame, and you can use the other side, I think it was on like this, yeah. You can use the other side to mount, for example, a part cooling fan right through the motor. So you don't need any extra mounting stuff on this guy, and you can have the Himera as a neat little unit. I think that is pretty nice. Okay, there's no way I can get at these. What am I missing in chat? They're way more noisy. Ooh, the steppers are noisy. That's a good point that I want to Is that a 2.5? I think so. That's a good point that I'll talk about real quick. So stepper motors, we do have one of these stepper motors harvested from the frame already. This thing uses, what is this, Allegro drivers? Yeah, looks like it. There isn't just one type of stepper motor out there. So depending on what driver you have, I know I've said this before, but depending on what driver you have, different types of stepper motors are going to work more or less well, better or worse for you. So obviously the one rating you're going to see is, oh, this is a 2.5 amp stepper motor or 1.2 amp or whatever. That's the one thing that the manufacturer, that's like easy to communicate. The other thing is what would, I guess, be called turns in a RC. Is it? Yeah, would be turns in a 1/10 scale RC buggy car thing. Basically, the lower your turns are, the more aggressive your motor is, the more current it's going to draw at a certain voltage, and it's kind of the similar, or in drone motors, it would be kV, so thousands of RPM per volt applied. And it's kind of the same for these motors. So these aren't rated in kV because they're not intended to keep spinning, to continuously spin. But you will find ratings for inductivity and resistance for these. And that's kind of the same thing. Well, I mean, it's exactly the same thing as turns or kV in a motor. So the higher your inductance of a motor is, the higher of a drive voltage it's going to need as well. And there is quite a range in how high or low that inductance and that resistance comes out. So you can have a full size, this is like a comp. I need to replace this tabletop anyways. This is a 40 millimeter one, so there's only a certain amount of space for windings. But you can get a full size, a full length, 48 millimeter length NEMA 17 that draws 2.5 amps, or you can get it with 1 amp. It's just going to require more voltage to drive to build up that magnetic field inside the motor. And what I'm getting at is different motor drivers at different voltages require different motors to work well with them as well. So an Allegro driver is going to prefer a different type of motor to a TI driver, to a Trinamic driver. They all have their sweet spot where they will work quietly without any of that high-pitched noise that engineers kind of apparently don't hear because they're all old. They're all old farts that have lost their hearing already, but I tend to hear that like 15 kilohertz whine. That drives me crazy. That's something that the TI drivers like to do if you pair them with the wrong motor. But yeah, just saying, if you have a noisy motor, then what? I just mentioned Tom a month or so ago? What? I lost the screw somewhere. What am I up to? Building a printer in reverse. By the way, shout out to the mods on this channel. So I see Part-Time Ronin is modding the chat. That is linked to one of my videos. Wow. I am honored. Yeah. Part-Time Ronin, thank you for doing the modding duties today and keeping the chat civil, because that makes my life a lot easier. A lot easier. So zip ties, not reusable unfortunately. But yeah, we got the you get the Himera out. So this is just stock Himera. Well, technically it's Hermes, but it's not allowed to be called Hermes. Got the sock on, got just a little bit of red PLA on the nozzle. Yeah, this is fine. This is a 12-volt version. That's all right. That's all right for what I need it for. I guess I can also get rid of these gloves because we're not taking apart an SLA printer today. Lot of questions about Dolly. Where is Dolly at? I think I have him, her. I think I have her here, but I've not. To be honest, that printer was a bit too cheap to actually be usable. It was really fun to build. It was a really, it was a learning experience. Let's call it that. But yeah, Dolly isn't really the printer I use when I just need to print something. Maybe we can do a Mark III Dolly at some point. There are good parts for the proprietary stuff available from FYSC Physitech. I don't know. So you can get a lot of spacer. You can get a lot of the more or less proprietary parts, like the sensor or the filament sensor. The bed sensor, the Pinda probe, the filament sensor, and all that. You can actually buy those now, and the board as well. Because if you use all those nice fancy Mark III features, you kind of need. It's right on the tripod. You kind of need that. Is it the buddy board? It is the buddy board, right? It's the buddy board, the one in the Mini. But yeah, you can get those parts now, and I have a few of them. So I don't know, at some point. Prusa is very behind on shipping. Yes. So when is that Prusa Mini unboxing and review coming? I'm hoping to get a Prusa Mini very soon. But I don't think I'm going to have time to do. Well, I might be able to do an unboxing live on stream, but I'm not going to have the time to do a full review for at least a month. Busy on other stuff on the channel. Let me look. Why am I? It's kind of in the way, but it's kind of not because I'm also working on it. So yeah, my camera tripod is over here. My B camera tripod. I don't know if you can see that, but it's all the way over there. I don't know who put that there. So the Anet A8 board. Somebody's pulled off the extruder. Is that Thermistor? Yeah, somebody's pulled that off. That's how it comes out of the box. And I guess these screw clamps, I mean, when you can bend them around like that, that's not a good sign. These are an issue, and I guess this stuff right here also gets kind of hot. Oh look, I shouldn't throw that out with it. I kind of do need that. Yeah, that's the board. I think I'm just going to do some testing with it and, see how far I can push it before it heats up too far. Not sure what the actual issue is that these catch on fire, but yeah. These SD cards, I just bought a bunch of them because they were cheap. I just needed some cards to put in printers and stuff, and in Raspberry Pis and all that. So I've got a bunch of these. These are great. I also use the Evo Plus as 256 gig versions in my cameras, and they work fantastically. Is that an STM32? No. That is a Atmega 1284. So not the 2564? 2584? not the big one, but the one smaller than the one that is common on most printers today, or on the 8-bit chips. It's usually the wiring connectors. 2560, yes, thank you, Daniel. Heated bed. Okay, let's get this thing off. Also, one thing that I'm noticing is the fact that this thing uses Phillips head screws. I don't like Phillips head screws. It is not fun to work with. So you can actually see them back here as well. So all the motor stuff here is Phillips heads. Up here on the frame, it's also Phillips head. Wait, that's the wrong side. That's this side over here. Phillips head, all the stuff on the bed. These recessed screws are all Phillips head. Yeah, I'd rather. So if I had completely free choice, I'd go for Torx. But I know not all screw types are available as Torx, so I'm gonna settle for hex. Because hex doesn't do that, you know? And Torx definitely doesn't do that. There's some extremely thick acrylic. Yeah, it's like 8 millimeters or something. Yeah. Like I said, I don't like Phillips head screws. I don't know why I'm even keeping them. Was it? Yeah, that supposedly you peel off that that film from the aluminum as well. Springs, I don't know. Maybe useful at some point. Heated bed, okay. So I guess this is kind of a similar design that we've seen ever since the, actually Prusa designed Mark II bed, I think it was called. The PCB bed. This is very similar to that. I mean, Prusa actually did a lot of things for the 3D printing world, just designed a lot of things that became the standard somehow. So just the fact that I'm referring to their machines or the Prusa himself all the time, it's because this is something that, you know, literally Prusa himself designed. At least I guess the predecessor to this. So a lot of things I actually kind of like. Thermistor in the center. That's something that has that was kind of common and is now kind of overlooked. So there's traces going all the way to the outside here to the connector, and then a thermistor in a hole in the center of this aluminum PCB. So if you were to put some sort of Kapton tape over this, this will give you a perfectly accurate core temperature. So that's kind of nice. It just kind of sucks that this is like the glass bead type, and I mean, with this it probably doesn't make a lot of difference if you use a surface mount thermistor instead. LEDs on the bottom here. I don't know how much you need those. Connector, I guess it's better than having your wires soldered directly to the board and having no strain relief. Having a connector like this, I guess, does work, though solder joints aren't meant to be mechanical, well, aren't rated for mechanical strength, and especially after cycling, after having thermal cycles and having mechanical stresses pull on them, these can crack. I don't know how common of an issue this is, because this is a relatively beefy connector, but that's something you should keep in mind. Also, the fact that this is an aluminum PCB. I've done some heated bed testing, and these are the most even, well, almost the most even way, among the most even ways of getting a constant surface temperature. These do drop off towards the corners because they have an even temperature, or power release over the surface, but they do a great job of spreading out that heat. So whenever you don't have a metal heat spreader over your heater element, I always recommend just putting something over it. You know, unless you have a heated bed that already accounts for that by having different heater zones and all that. And I guess one more thing I want to point out, yeah, you can actually see that on this corner. And I don't think it's an issue on the A8, but some heated beds, you can see that thing back there. That knob right there, that's a trace. That is carrying electricity, and there's only a very thin film of insulating material over it. So when your spring sits on that, maybe I can show you that wow, this is actually kind of hard. So yeah, when your spring actually sits on the edge of that, conductor on the PCB, over time it can rub through that insulating material and actually short out against that, against that trace. And if your bed then connects through some metal construction, if you have a metal frame or something, that can actually short to ground and fry your MOSFET, burn up your MOSFET, cause a fire, do all sorts of weird things. So yeah, make sure there is some sort of at least an insulating shim, or if you look at your heated bed, make sure there's enough of a distance between the traces and where your springs or nuts or whatever you use to secure it down is, just so you don't rub through that. So that's something to keep in mind. I'm still keeping this bed because I think it's kind of useful. It's not that big. It's just 20 by 20. Well, 22.4 I think is the standard size. But yeah, when I use this, I'm going to put some locking nuts on this. So screw through the top, locking nut on the bottom, so there's going to be no movement at all with this. So this is fine for how I'm going to use it. Hey Spike, good to see you around. You're late. Who asked that? Paul. Tip $2 through Super Chat. How do you organize random hardware screws, etc.? So actually these guys. I've got some more at home that are already filled, but I bought these for the studio as well. These things are amazing. For screws, I think I have everything up to M8 is a bit tight. But anything up to M6 actually works perfectly with these boxes. So you get these dividers that you can put in here. I guess you know how these work, right? You get these dividers that you can divide these up into like 3 little individual bins. These front faces actually fit a label from a label printer perfectly, so you can just put those up here and you can see what's inside. So whenever I store stuff, I need to be able to look inside the containers. In fact, if you look over there somewhere, there behind all that stuff, there's a tower of parts. Actually, yeah, I can see it on the floor because I still need to kind of find a permanent home for those in the studio. But yeah, I use IKEA Sandler containers for the bigger stuff, and then these guys for the smaller stuff. And that so far has worked pretty well for me. It's just a lot of work. I mean, these are many little boxes. I don't want to count them. And when you divide them up into 3 individual ones, it's a lot of like different stuff you can store in there. And if you make labels for them, it's a passion project to get those all labeled. But definitely a very, very good solution that I've found. No. Little Allen wrench. Cool. I'm just trying to catch up on chat, but wait. What am I going to be using all these parts for? I do not know yet. So these parts go into one of those IKEA bins that I just showed you. There's a big, I can pull that over. Yeah. Oh god, this is heavy. So I've got rails and stuff, so or rods, 8mm rods, and a different one. But this is like half stuff that I bought and half stuff that I salvaged. You can see it's still original packaging for some of this stuff. So these were salvaged. These are Hewin rails, little MGN9s. That's a bought MGN9. This is something that I tried to turn on my mini lathe. 16mm ball screw. Turns out this stuff is hardened and is like impossible to do, but I think I did an okay job. Ball screws with their ends machines. These are 12mm ones. I had planned to build a CNC. I may still do that if Stefan actually manages to decide on specs with me. Supported rails, SBR. These are atrocious. But yeah, this stuff goes in here, and whenever I need parts for a project, whenever I need, let's say, MGN 15 rails. This is a 500mm one. I go in here, I grab it, because nothing sucks more than either having to overpay for these rails, because these genuinely cost like 2 or 3 times as much if you buy them from an importer versus buying them directly from AliExpress. That sucks, having to wait for that or having to overpay. So I just enjoy having a bit of material here just available that when I say, okay, I need to build something with a ball screw, I got that here. These, by the way, these cost like 40 bucks, which is amazing. So yeah, also aluminum profiles. These are just a few ones. There are more over there. The one thing that I'm working on right now is, well, the one thing, as if there's only one thing that I'm working on. The one mechanical thing that I'm working on is, which is also the reason why I revived my CNC, is to build better Phillips testing fixtures, to have an actual universal testing machine. So, for example, that, or mills, little testing fixtures that aren't for Phillips, all that sort of stuff. Printers, of course, when I have a printer that needs those exact components. Yeah, I can just reach in there and grab what I need. What is he doing? He is removing a liability from the printer lineup. Actually, it says in the video title, or in the live stream title, we are unprintering this printer. We are making sure it will never hurt anyone ever again, at least this very one. Is it acrylic? Yes. Do I recommend the Prusa Mark III? Yeah. Watch my review to find out the full story. These guys are generally the printers that I use the most, and one of the reasons why I'm taking apart the A8, because when I print something, I use that and I don't use this. Mark III is cool. If you want to get a mini and can wait, I think that's pretty cool as well. I don't have mine yet, so I can't really say if it is actually good, but judging by how well they're selling, it can't be that bad. So somebody was asking what the power supply is on the A8. It has scrolled past me already. Yeah, this isn't an open frame, I think, because if it was open frame, it would actually be open. You could reach in there. But this is like the standard LED driver style. This is an AC to DC S24012, which is the generic power supply type. There's more than one company making these, I'm sure. And there's more than one design that's labeled S24012. So yeah, this one has, yep, no active power factor correction. So you have the switch from 110 to 220, which I believe is actually not borderline legal to sell. I don't know. I think at least to get CE, which this printer does not have, you need active power factor correction above 25 watts, something in that ballpark. So no, you don't. No, you don't. Somebody in chat knows that, I'm sure. But yeah, power supply, standard 12 volt, 20 amp power supply. Useful. Plus these are metal cased, so if they burn up, like they're not very likely to ignite other stuff. And if they burn up, I found it's just the input circuitry that destroys itself. And it has fuses, so it might not be reliable, but at least it's not gonna fail catastrophically. Check grounding from the ground pin to the chassis. I believe the way these are set up internally is actually that the ground, the protective earth that's on the input, isn't supposed to be internally wired to the case. The case, I guess, is supposed to be floating, and then you can decide whether you tie the ground to, I guess, this screw right over here. You can tie into right there. Just pop a quick wire from the protective earth to over here, and then the case is grounded. Or whether you have your own ground fault circuit on the printer, or you need the frame to be floating for whatever reason. Some of them have dangerous proximity of high side to case. Yes. Didn't say they were perfect. Just said they would probably not cause a fire. So Z motor. The thing is, these motors are not. They are. I'm sorry. If somebody wants to look up if there are specs available for these. What exact type this 42 SHDC 3025 is. It's a 40mm type. But I'm hoping there might be some info available on what exactly these do. And like I talked about earlier, inductivity, resistance, all that. What is still going on here? I'm not sure if I want to reuse the wiring for anything. I don't know if this is actual copper. This looks like it's copper. What you often find with cheap wire is that it is aluminum core. It's just a copper clad aluminum, CCA. When they say it's like 100% CCA, yeah, that's like the worst grade of cable you can get. Very economical, but it breaks when you bend it. You can't solder to it. You can't really crimp it. You have to use it in spring terminals. It's like it's usually sold as speaker wire. So just pay attention to that. And I think maybe some printer manufacturers have used that. And it's fine for using it for like stepper leads and stuff, but as soon as the cable moves, definitely do not use CCA. The way you can tell is if you look at the individual strands and you kind of bend them around, they break really easily. And also, it is impossible, like I said, to solder to. Martin, was that not the right type? Oh, over here. There you go. Holding 40 Newton centimeters, rated 0.9 amps. Wow. Wow. Okay. That's not a bad motor then. If that is true. Because 0.9 amps means that, well, I guess it's a bad motor for 12 volts. That's a motor that really wants to be driven on 24. It's a really low current rating for such a... My phone's running out of battery. Really low current rating for such a reasonably beefy motor, so I'm impressed. Yeah, 0.9 is very low for a stepper current. The first stepper motors I ever bought were 2.5 amp. And, you know, just as ballpark numbers, the common Allegro drivers, the A49, A8, or A2, or whatever, they're pretty much all the same. They are the most comfortable around like an amp, 1 amp. If you really want to drive your motor, you know, 1 amp is what they can handle and where they work well at. Trinamic drivers just as well. The TI 8255. God, it's getting late. Those can push a bit more current, as well as the newer Trinamic drivers. But yeah, 0.9 is actually pretty much a sweet spot for the common drivers. 8755? Nah. And what was I going to say? Yeah, the current rating on the motors, basically the way that works is if you have a, I think, 105 degree ambient temperature, that's the 90 degree ambient. Anyways, it's the current at which the motor should reach 125 degrees Celsius, which is like the maximum of the safe. How does it work? God, I knew it exactly at one point. But it's the current, basically all that says is, hey, this is the safe current limit without extra cooling. And that is also the current that we're gonna be providing the rated torque at. So you don't have to run 2.5 amp motors at 2.5. You can run them way lower. They're not gonna heat up at all, and they're proportionally gonna give you less torque. God, that's rough. Let me catch up on super chats real quick. One note on super chats real quick. So the obviously it's very convenient to do tips through YouTube, but YouTube takes a 30% cut out of that. So if you want to tip, and if you're really committed, use Streamlabs. Those guys just have the regular PayPal fees, which are like a few percent. They don't actually take anything for the tip, and it also gives you the same nice pop-up. I see them in exactly the same way. That's linked in the description. So yeah, that's a more efficient way of tipping, I guess. But yeah, thanks for the $3 from Pug of Stardock. Tyler L was asking what I'm doing 9 minutes ago for $2. I'm hoping I explained that, but yeah, scrapping a printer for parts, scrapping it to have usable parts like a heated bed, rails, lead screws, all that stuff. That is reusable. That is something I can use, but this printer as is, I cannot use. So I'm upcycling this machine actually. I'm turning it from something that is no longer usable or has never been usable into something that I can use in other stuff. Also, Kyle Davis, $5 through Super Chat. Hello from Michigan. Hello back to Michigan. Tom will miss the Super Chat. No, I won't. Mr. Channel member and tipper, thank you for that. God damn it, guys. Yeah, Michigan reminds me of Murph, because that's like Michigan is at the Great Lakes, right? Right? Maybe. And if you're flying through, no, is it? God, I'm bad at U.S. geography. And if you're flying through Chicago, obviously even that area, yeah, I miss Murph. That would have been last month. Would have been such a great event, but yeah. And we had $5 from Eric Sanacore. Thanks, but always learn something from your channel. That is fantastic. I'm hoping that I can provide some sort of learning, even from a stream where I just take a printer apart. East and West Germany. Cody, the one thing you know about Germany is actually wrong. There is no East and West Germany anymore. That's been like 20 years ago now. It's just the Federal Republic of Germany. There's no East and West Germany anymore. Like, yeah. Tim Murren is asking, CR6 SE or wait for the Ender 3v2? God, it looks like they're pretty much the same machine. So, I don't know. $30 years? 30? Okay. Apparently I also suck at history, so fantastic. The thing is, guys, so I find it... Oh yeah, shit, I'm turning 30 next year. Okay. Yeah, so it has been 30 years. Yeah, the thing about East and West Germany is East and West Germany is such a foreign concept to me. All my life it's been just one country, and the fact that news and like statistics and all that still split it up in East and West is like, guys, it's one country. Like, why do you still have to like just get over it? It's why? I don't understand how they're clinging to that concept, or the old and the new states. Like, no. Anyways, yeah. Yes, son of Berlin. Yeah. What is going on? Check the super chats. Yeah, guys, 1 second. So yeah, for me, it's one Germany. I've been to formerly Eastern Germany, and it feels very different still, but it's one country. We got $5 from ADH DIY. Question: do you think Delta printers are slowly dying out, and why? And why are you sad about it? Honestly, I'm not sad about Delta printers dying out. They're nice because they're unique. They're nice to watch, but they have so many flaws to them that flaws as in they are challenging to get right. They're challenging to get perfect, and you know, a Cartesian machine like this is actually just easier to work with, easier to calibrate, easier to get printing well. And really the only advantage of Delta printers is, yeah, you can build them tall, but even then they get kind of wobbly. So yeah. And apparently we got a €500 tip from Shamsha. How? What? No. Make me uncomfortable. Why? Why do you do this to me? But thank you. Whoever you are, thank you, Shamsha. I think we're pretty much done here. No Google. Okay. Let me. Oh, this one. Oh, this isn't even tied. You see, that's what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about with plastic creep. These I know I tightened up. So when I built this printer, I know I tightened up these nuts. And they were tight, but apparently over time, because even acrylic is still plastic, acrylic still creeps. Apparently there was enough tension on them that they just came loose. So these are just, you can undo these by hand now, so. Yeah. Plastic creep, need to design for it. We got, God, why Shamsha? Still not over that. We got 20 Danish crowns to Super Chat. What's your take on non-swappable stepper drivers? I don't mind them, honestly. If you don't torture your printer, they can last as long as the printer itself. Plus, I think the last time I've ruined a stepper driver was like 5 years ago or something, so. Yeah, the drivers, especially if you have something like, you know, modern trinamic drivers or something, they're not that flimsy anymore. What else do we have? YOLO Snail, you're on 12. No Streamlabs link in the description. Oh crap. Yeah, new YouTube Studio. Okay. Honestly, now I wish I had the one with the chuck. New YouTube Studio didn't copy my description. Okay, crap. Anyway, YOLO Snail bought the Anet A8 on Amazon, got a partial refund, used that to replace pretty much everything. Used to replace pretty much everything a bit iffy. Okay, yep. Come on. And thank you for the 10 Danish crowns, I believe, yeah. From Kasper. Okay, guys. I think we're pretty much disassembled here. There was one more question I want to answer quickly. Ed YouTube, I guess, was asking, do you have the Mi 9T? If so, do you like it? I used to have the Mi 9T, which was kind of cool while it worked. I'm now back on my LG G7 because the screen on my Mi 9T just went black one day. I was actually watching a Linus Tech Tips video, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, your screen's gone. It's just black. Video kept playing. Touchscreen apparently still works, but it just failed like that. So now I'm in a loop of getting handed around between warranty centers that none of them, or where none of them want to be responsible for anything. So, yeah. I gotta see, I bought it through Amazon too. So they referred me to a service center that then said, no, we're not responsible for that. That then referred me to another service center. Let's see if they can actually fix that. Is it an Anet A8 or something new? No, it's an Anet A8. It's Anet A8 with the paper still on. All right. Tyler, yes, your Streamlabs tip went through. Thank you for that. It's still the same one as ever. Still works. I really need to take a note of that because it's YouTube Studio that doesn't have presets for stream descriptions anymore. Why am I building an Anet A8 in 2020? Well, thankfully I am not building it. We're unprintering it. We are unbuilding it. So this is one of the things that, you know, is easy to do, and this looks like I did it. But there was, I don't think there was an actual IEC receptacle for this for the power cord on the A8. So this was just wired directly into the power supply. Not the safest thing to do, There's also no power supply cover on that, so this is going bye-bye. This, I don't know what this is. Anyways, I'll put that over here. End stop. Motor cable, I guess at some point we can use these. LCP. That, a few more bearings. And this is all custom parts that we're not gonna need anymore. Okay, and a pulley and 2 flex couplers. And 2 LM8 LUs. Okay, and that's really all there is. So what's that? Oh, there's a square nut stuck to this motor. These we don't need. These we do need. How can we arrange these so they're kind of nice? Just like that. Have a nice row of these, like that, like this, like this. Cables we don't need. These are kind of hard to do. Belts, 1, 2, 3. 2 bearings. I guess. Re-upload the stream reversed into a voiceover. That's actually a good idea. Right, so I think that's it. We are left with a disassembled A8. So this wasn't a totally stock A8, obviously, because it had the E3D Himera on it. That's the one part that I did really need. What else did we salvage? 2 end stops. Thing is, these are like 2-cent components. These micro switches, really not that valuable. So honestly, these cost like 2 cents if you buy them in bulk. If you buy 50, you pay like $1 or $2. So we got 2 apparently stainless. Yep, stainless M8 lead screws. We got 2. Why are these different colors? This right one is a bit brighter than the other one. Oh yeah, you can even see that on camera. This one is like way brighter than this one. So I'm guessing that the coating on these isn't consistent. Interesting. 2 long-ish 8mm rods, 4 short-ish 8mm rods, and 2 four-start. Is this 4? Yeah, 4-start. 4-start TR8 lead screws with an 8mm pitch. So you can see on the end there, these have multiple starts, and they're way steeper than the single ones. So this is the standard type that actually is used in almost every printer now. So 8mm per revolution. You turn these once, it pushes the ZX's 8mm. Belts. Ooh, one thing I'm noticing, these belts are identical. Look at this. So you can see that this belt here, did I replace them? Oh yeah, I think I did. Yeah, I replaced this matte one is not the original one. This is the one that I installed when I had the Himera upgrade. And this is the original belt, which is, I think it's the same one that they use in the Anet A8, and it is incredibly blurry. First of all, there we go. It is incredibly springy and kind of weird and stiff and like. This one is nice and pliable. This one is like all hard, but yet doesn't have a lot of strength. So Anet belt, not a fan. Not a fan. I'll throw these out. We got 2 LM8U. We got 2 of these standard flex couplers. these are actually decent. These are 5 on one side and 8 on the other. So these are useful. We got a standard. Why only one? There's got to be a second one. Oh yeah, there's the second one. We got 2. There we go. 2 16 tooth pulleys, which we can drop into our bin of all the other 16 tooth pulleys, right over there. Then we got there. We got a main board. This is going to go into stress testing. We got a LCD. This can go onto an Arduino or something. 7 of these LM or SC8U or whatever they're called, LM8Us in an aluminum block. Makes them a bit easier to use, but I would much rather use a real linear rail. Heated bed, kind of nice, standard fare. Stepper motors that are apparently very nice indeed. 0.9 amps, so suitable for weaker drivers like the early Trinamic ones, the 2130s or the 2208s. And yeah, bunch of fasteners. The bed main part, I don't think this is useful for anything. Yeah, the matching nuts for the lead screws and a bunch of fasteners, springs, spaces, all that sort of stuff. That's going to have to get sorted later on. Somehow the spam filter isn't doing all that well. To report that should also be blocked, I guess. Huh? Why is this reporting thing on YouTube so tedious? Okay, Daniel, thank you. Anyways, what else did we miss? Martin Jeman, thanks for the 500 Czech crowns, I believe. And new shoutout patron, much appreciated. And from Johannes, 59 Swedish crowns. The enormous tip deserves a more fabulous thank you. Yeah, here's the thing. I don't know how to respond to that. So a few minutes ago, 60 minutes ago, we got a 500 euro tip. Thanks, I guess. But I would much rather not get those huge tips. They're making me incredibly uncomfortable. But I hope you guys learned something today. I hope you learned something. It's not safe to burn. Hope you learned something from how these printers are built, from what goes into these components. Stay tuned for June. I'm not sure if I'm going to have another regular video up until then, but June is going to be full of a 3D printing basic series. So that's what I've been working on over the last few weeks. Yeah, basically all of June is going to get 10 videos for absolute 3D printing beginners. So if you have someone that is thinking about getting a 3D printer, doesn't know where to start, doesn't know what the stuff means that we're talking about here, that's going to be a series that we can just send them and say, hey, this is something that should get you going, should get you started. So that's what's coming for June. 10 videos, lots of work gone into that already. 2 per week. I'm hoping I'll manage that. But why do you guys keep sending super chats? Thank you for the 20 Czech crowns, Martin. Thank you for the 40 rubles, Mundane. Down with the A8, and thanks for the $2, Jeff. I really gotta stop the stream before you guys keep sending any more tips. Again, you're making me uncomfortable. Thank you for everyone who joined in. Thank you for everyone in chat who was keeping me company. I hope I kept you guys company, and we will see you in June, or maybe in a new video later this month. I don't know yet. Okay, bye. That's not how that's supposed to work. my Stream Deck isn't doing what it's supposed to. Okay. Anyways.